Hello, everyone. How are we all? All good? Amazing. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. Sit with Tea is all about honest conversations with our incredible panellists this evening, talking about creation, the work that goes into it, and everything in between. Like I said, we've got three amazing panellists on the panel tonight, and I would love to just share some information about them. So first off, we have the incredible Oliver Rees, who is a rapper, guitarist. His music blends heavy rhyme lyricism with boom bap and often incorporating soul and jazz into his music. And last month dropped Soda, his new album. Please make sure you check it out on all streaming platforms. So let's give a big welcome to Oliver. Secondly, we have Bonnie, very talented writer, actor and musician. From writing and performing in her band Bonville to acting in TV and film. Bonnie is truly wearing many hats within the creative industry, and I can't wait to get into more about that later. So let's give Bonnie a big welcome. And finally, we have Ed Thompson, an absolutely inspiring artist and founder of Doodle Chat, a social art community at Left Bank and other places as well. Ed is currently displaying his apocalyptic remix work at Redcar, where he's come from today. Bless him, a couple bit of travel issues, but we got there in the end, which I'm really glad to see you here. And some incredible exhibitions such as Art is for Everyone with Opera North. So can we give Ed a massive round of applause as well, please?
Sure, I clapped myself.
Yeah.
It's all right, isn't it?
Absolutely. So thank you all for being here tonight. I really do appreciate it. If it's okay, we'll just go down the line first of all. There'll be some questions for everyone, questions for individuals. But to start off with, for anyone who doesn't really know much about you guys, if you could tell me a bit more about yourself and your beginnings into what you do, that would be amazing. Start with you, Ed.
Hi, yeah. My name's Ed. I go by the name Edek Thompson. And yeah, I paint the apocalypse generally, like just visions of absolute existential dread in the end of the world and all the horrors of humanity and ducks on fire. But kind of within that, and like within the current exhibition Apocalypse Remix, I work with community groups, and kind of through workshops within those within the gallery settings and the exhibition settings, we start to kind of look at the things that I bring along to it. So the existential dread, the mental health, the talking about social isolation, living with chronic pain, grief and loss, and kind of what all of that means, how all of that influences art, and how we can kind of use that to start conversations within community settings, how the act of doing something creative in a space like that, talking about these themes, becomes a shared experience and becomes a place of safety to start opening up and talking about your own, whatever is going on with you. But it's called Apocalypse Remix because, like, I firmly believe that, like, art builds community, but that community then nurtures hope. So we're remixing by bringing a little hope from the community back into the artwork. And that's kind of what keeps me going through the dread.
Yeah, I'm Oliver Rees, and I'm a musician mainly. So I started off when I was, initially I started off as a violinist when I was a really young kid, then switched to guitar, and basically started making music just kind of at school and with some friends, was in a couple of bands and stuff like that. Then when I was in my early teens, started rapping and producing hip hop. And then just from there, just rapping in the park with mates, this, that, the other. Eventually started to put some music out. Didn't take it that seriously till I was about 21. And then, got like a small record deal and started making some music, putting some music out with them. playing some guitar, doing some sessions with some of their pre-existing artists. And then, yeah, so that started in 2017. That's when I came to Leeds. And then, yeah, since then, put out several EPs and things like that. And then started to lean more into production over the past couple years. And so I've been producing hip hop, some pop, some folk, some rock, even some jazz, for different artists, mostly in and around Leeds. Yeah, so that's the main thing that I do at the minute is, aside from the music that I put out for myself as an artist, is production and session guitar work.
Thank you very much. Hello, I'm Bonnie. I know some of you and some of you I don't know. I am a musician as well, like Oliver. But about 5 or 6 years ago, I was part of a series called The Gallows Pole, which was set in West Yorkshire, and it got me into acting, which is a new thing for me. But over the last 5 years, I've been training as an actor, and I used to run a space called Neighbourhood. It was called Duke Studios, then it was called Neighbourhood, and that was like an artist studios. And that closed down earlier on in the year, and since then, I'm just doing creative things. And that ranges from running the bingo at Left Bank to, we love bingo. We love a bit of bingo. Last Tuesday of every month, a little plug there for the bingo. Oh, well, you will not be... Well, you may be disappointed. I do anything basically that's creative and that is fun. Now that is all that I'm focusing my energies on, which is really exciting actually, because running the studios was amazing. It was such a good experience, but I felt like I was surrounded by everyone else making really cool stuff, and I was kind of facilitating it. And it's really nice to be on the other side and just making the stuff. So yeah, that's what I do now. Yeah.
Thank you. All of your answers were amazing, and I'm so grateful to have you all on the panel tonight, so thank you so much. Oliver, I just want to say congratulations on Soda. What an amazing album. If you've not listened to it, please go check it out. But earlier in the year, you also had a collaboration album with Tamara S, if that's what I'm right in thinking. I would love to know a bit more about your process. I know that you work within multiple genres, and you also are an insane guitarist and played at Below the Lines last week on Friday, I believe. I'd love to know more about your process and what inspires you and how you make the work that you do.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I approach everything differently. With that specific project, I met Tamara S a couple years ago. We were both supporting Deneo at Belgrave Music Hall. Nice. And then we just kind of said, oh yeah, we were a fan of each other's work, and so we just said at some point we'll have to do some music together. Initially we thought, maybe we'll do a collaboration where I'll do some rapping on tracks, she'll do some singing. But eventually she came to me, and initially it was just going to be a single. And so she came to me with basically a rough demo that she'd kind of made over kind of a bit of a nondescript kind of YouTube beat type thing, and said, I want to turn this into a song. So me personally, if somebody comes to me with that type of thing and asks me, okay, how do we get it from here to a fully fleshed out and, operational song, because I'm a guitarist, if there's already some guitar in it, and then I can work with that a lot, and I kind of think, okay, how do I, take the message of what she's saying in the lyrics and the kind of vibe that she's presented in the original sort of beat that she's used, and kind of make it into our own sort of new thing. So that was the first track, and she was very happy with it. So we just kind of over the next, it was in the works for 2 years, because it kept just expanding. It was first going to be a single, then it was a couple of singles, then it was an EP, then it was an album. So, but yeah, a lot of the tracks on that album are quite different. So some of them are very stripped back and kind of acoustic sounding. Some of them are more 90s hip hop, R&B type vibes. But it's just a case of if I'm working in the capacity of a producer, it's just kind of trying to get what the artist wants, but also, looking at what they're bringing and saying, what can I add without taking away from whatever their artistic vision is? What can I add to kind of further the final product? From a lot of my own stuff, because I'm a guitarist, I'll start, either with lyrics, because obviously I'm a rapper as well. So I'll either start with lyrics and then kind of trying to, flesh out some sort of chord progression or structure with my guitar. Some things are sample based, so I'll hear something, I'll be like, oh, I can use a little slice of that there, transform it a little bit, and so, yeah, every project has a different sort of requirement as far as like what my input would be as a producer and what work needs to be done, but yeah, I mean, my favorite thing to do is just like sit with an artist, get my guitar out and say, okay, what can we come up with? And then just go from there, really.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And speaking of music, Bonnie, I know that when I met you a week, 2 weeks ago, you had some really exciting news about Bonneville and what's going on the moment in terms of recording. I would love to speak to you about the full female team that's going on behind the scenes at the moment. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more of that for our our audience?
So yeah, I'm first of all, I'm a musician. That's what I've always done ever since I was a little kid. Is I've made up songs with my friends in the playground, and then been in bands growing up. I'm from York, which has like a very male-dominated music scene, and I was always in bands with guys growing up, which was a lot of fun. But I loved moving to Leeds and being like, oh my God, there's such a diverse music scene here. There's so many different people that make music, and I'm really proud that my band is all female now, and we're also making a record together at our house studio on Meanwood Road, which is run by women, and everyone that's involved in it is a woman as well, which is really fun. I think, sometimes there's quite a lot of power in like where you choose to work and like where you choose to invest in as well. And I'm like really excited to work with these guys. That is so hard as a woman in music to be recognised for talent, like as opposed to everything else that we're up against. And I've really enjoyed the experience of working with those guys. So we're making this like country EP. I have a secret love of country that is not so secret anymore. I love it. I've been ashamed of it my whole life. I've been like, Bruce Springsteen is not cool, but now I'm like, do you know what? He is. He is cool. So yeah, we're making this country record, and it should be out in like August, September, and then we'll be doing a little tour around it. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
That's really, really amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, and I'm so excited to hear it. It sounds incredible. And I'd love to hear that is full female team, from production to vocals to making it actually happen and distributing it as well. That's super exciting. So congratulations on that. Ed, I know I mentioned to you all earlier that Ed has come straight from an exhibition today, which is the Apocalyptic Remix. At Red Car.
Yeah.
I'd love to know more about like what made you put this particular pieces of art together. I know that when I met you a week or two ago, also the art in your studio, I was just like so intrigued. And if you didn't see, I know maybe some of the first people might have got one of Ed's prints on the way in, but tonight you've got one. Love to see it.
I am the fire.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I'm so interested into like what made that happen, how did that come about, and the art that you're exhibiting there. Where has that come from? What inspired you to make these particular pieces of art?
Yeah.
Or as much as you want to speak about.
It's loads of pieces of art. Like the exhibition itself is maybe 4 years worth of painting. A year's worth of planning, funding applications, building partnerships, testing ideas. The first Apocalypse remix we did in Beeston, Basement Arts Project, which if you haven't been, go. There's a guy that runs a gallery out of his terraced house in Beeston. It's in the basement, and he's been running it for 15 years. And it's amazing, like incredible test bed. Like if you're an artist and you want to do something, just message Bruce, and he generally says yes. Like it's really good. And yeah, that was the first time that I like really tested kind of taking a full body of work, putting it in a space, and then inviting people in to come and learn the process and make their own art to go in the exhibition. Mm-hmm. So kind of like whenever I show anywhere, I'm not interested in just putting the work up. I'm interested in kind of, I guess, like the conversations that the work brings, and kind of getting people involved in creativity, doing something that's like fun, really stupid a lot of the time. Like most of my work is Mighty Horses, which are just a dog with a bird's head and some words on. But like they come from a place of kind of learning to honour grief. And like when I talk about honouring grief, I mean kind of like being able to sit within an emotion and kind of allow yourself to feel it. So I started drawing them after my brother died from cancer as a way of kind of just feeling the weight of what grief was. And like what I was drawing wasn't important. What was important was the being there in that moment. And it was kind of like through those that I started opening up. I started learning how to talk. So like all the little prints that are outside have got words on. These have kind of grown over the years to be a little more positive. But the first ones were always asking about connection, always asking about friendship. And it was through those that I started kind of running community groups, because I realized that like having this little act of making something allowed me to talk, but it allowed people to question it. And by somebody questioning, what are you drawing? Why does it say that? You start talking about things that are important to talk about: grief, loss, mental health, what it's like, you know, living in constant pain. And suddenly people start telling you stories, and the group grows and grows and grows. So our group in Left Bank grew from 4 people to, you know, getting 40 odd people a week. Just coming to sit around a table, do something creative, share some conversation, and most of all, share kindness with each other. And like all of my work is kind of rooted in that. It's rooted in kind of exploring my own mental health, exploring climate action, sustainability, talking about kind of the horrors of the world, but in a way that is somewhat kind of disarming. So like, there's loads of paintings that I've done that are all called preparations for a lifetime underwater, and they're just sausage dogs with duck feet. And like, you can walk up to the painting, look at it and laugh and walk away, and that's fine. Like, that's enough of an interaction. But if you read the title, you might question what it's about. And by questioning what it's about, you might talk to me, and then we might start drawing together. And so, yeah, like all the work is kind of rooted in something that I'm either outraged about. It's my like lovely rage. I think rage is really important, like a very important driver for kind of change. But how you direct that rage is important. It has to be in a lovely way, I think. So yeah, like that's kind of loosely where the work comes from. Yeah. I've run it like a group with 17 people today, and I've been talking non-stop for like 4 hours. So if I start rambling, like, just feel free to put your hand up, say stop.
No, that was really, really beautiful. And if any of you do have the opportunity to see any of Ed's work, or are lucky enough to win some of Ed's work tonight, like, it is really, really insane and super, super powerful. And I feel like the more that I've spoken to you and learnt about your work, I've been so inspired about all of the different emotions that come along with creation, whether that be physical, musical, digital, whatever it might be. It's like, it's really, really beautiful. And I do actually get that from all of you in respective fields and crossing over fields as well, that you all really like stand your own ground in what you've got to say. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, that we're all here tonight hearing these things. Moving on from that a little bit, but kind of still in the same ballpark, I guess. I'd be really interested to hear from you, and we can go maybe like Bonnie backwards, so give Ed a sec. I'm really interested in about like your inspirations and what kind of has made you who you are today. And that doesn't have to be like an idol or an icon. It could be genuinely the people that are around you, or the way that you were brought up, or even the music or the things that you've seen that have inspired you? I'm really interested in that.
Thank you. Yeah, great question. So I'm from like a massive family. There was way too many kids in my house, and I think that made me a bit of a show off, to be honest. But it also was a really fun family, and we were always like making little plays and like keeping each other entertained. And yeah, I was really lucky to have parents that were like really, like, you can do it, Bonnie, and yeah, which is really nice, because I know that's lucky. But I would say who inspires me, the people around me. And I'm not ashamed to say that I absolutely don't know everything about everything. And I love learning and going into new fields that I've not tried before. I think sometimes when people get older, they get stuck in a career and they're like, this is me now. And I like to think that I switch things up a bit, and I'm like, I've never tried that. I'm going to give that a go. Yeah. And I guess I've probably become less sure of what I'm doing, like, the older I've got, but in a really nice way. But yeah, the people that inspire me are the people that are around me and that I work with. I work with loads of musicians and work with loads of filmmakers around Leeds, which has an amazing film network and scene. If anyone's interested, like, there's so much going on, like indie films being made. And yeah, they really inspire me. And the crossover between music and acting, and people saying, I was working on a film recently, and the writer of it was like, we're making a soundtrack. And so me and my friend were working on the soundtrack to it, and then learning about like making scores for film music was like super interesting. I think I'm just inspired by other people all the time, and I love learning, and yeah, it's just so much fun. So that's what inspires me. Yeah.
My inspirations growing up were like, guitarists mainly. Like, my aunt gave me a Deep Purple CD and a Jimi Hendrix CD when I was about 10, and I just got my first guitar. And then I was just like, I need to be able to play guitar like these guys. And so I was like obsessed with trying to become a good guitarist. And so that was like my main driving force into like wanting to be a good musician. And then especially just getting more and more into hip hop, it was just kind of, the things in my environment and, things that were going on in the world. And, I was quite into hip hop, which had something to say, some sort of commentary about world events and kind of, changing perspectives on what previously people would call urban culture, and kind of trying to say, okay, there's a lot of people who they see hip hop as something separate from music, and they kind of see hip hop as a less refined, more rudimentary form of expression in some sense. Obviously, over time that has changed, but it definitely felt like that growing up, and especially because I was into a lot of guitar music as well. You could see there was some sort of snobbery. So I was I was quite into, obviously, my favorite groups and rappers at the time were like, I was big into Wu-Tang, I was big into Jest, big into Chester P. But then I was also into like the kind of hybrid stuff. So like Rage Against the Machine, I was kind of into that. I mean, it wasn't something which I'd listen to a lot, but I liked what they were doing at the time and what the music was trying to stand for. And the way that it kind of bridged the gap in a way which wasn't, some of it's a bit corny, but I mean, it was less corny than like Fred Durst. You know what I mean? So those were kind of my influences then. And then, like I say, as far as lyricism, one of the critiques of rap in the UK at the time that I was kind of starting was that it kind of all sounds the same, And even now people say, about anyway, they're all rapping about this and that. And I kind of felt like it's just not really true. Like, a lot of the popular rap music has been dominated by certain themes, but I just felt like, a lot of my favorite rappers, they don't rap about the things that people are always claiming everybody raps about. So when I was stepping out to try and write lyrics, I was just influenced by things that I was familiar with, as I say, things in my environment, but also like some of my favorite writers in this sort of sense of they're saying things in a way which I can resonate with and I think is very creative. People like P.G. Woodhouse. I was just really into P.G. Woodhouse, and the way that he would write was just really funny to me. It was just like he would say things which something very simple and just make it sound like very colourful. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to achieve when I was writing lyrics. I was like, okay, trying to bridge, you know, the sort of rhythm and poetry of it by saying, okay, if I've got a point that I'm trying to get across, and again, sometimes it's not always as process as this, but if I've got a point to say, I've got a point that I'm trying to get across, what is a way that I can say it, which is maybe less obvious, and somehow adds a bit of extra colour into it, and kind of that is a part of it which I felt would make it into a more longer standing piece of art, the stuff that I was trying to make. Because I was like, okay, if I can read something once and then I've read it, it's like it may as well just be a road sign. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to go back to something and see something else each time. It's like a great movie. Yeah. You can rewatch it because there might be something you've missed. There might be something in the composition where you're like, you know what, I completely missed that. And now it might read in a completely different way, give you a different perspective, give you a different insight into the mind of the filmmaker or whatever. So, like I say, aside from being influenced by guitarists and rappers and whatnot, like I took influence from people who I thought were just really good at writing. And, you know, the written word, like P.G. Woodhouse. I was a big fan of like espionage novels as well, and like legal thrillers. So I was like, I liked John Grisham, John le Carre, and I just thought they had a way to describe things which made you think. It was quite witty, basically, is what I thought. And I thought, okay, I'm not trying to write lyrics to sound witty, but I don't want things to be just cut and paste. Like, yeah, he said something. Oh, this guy thinks he's cool. No, I'm trying to say something, and then, you know, you might look next time and something's gone over your head or whatever. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, these days, I don't actually listen to that much rap music. So like my influences for that type of thing, for the music that I release, are just what's going on around me, you know? Yeah. And I listen to a lot of old sort of like soul music and stuff like that. So a lot of the tonality of the production and stuff is influenced by that stuff more than like modern hip hop.
Thank you.
Influences. Like there's so much. I look at a lot of stuff. Like on the train this morning, I saw 4 deers and a fox and a lapwing. Like I just watch. I look at things a lot. But I mean, yeah, like there's so many incredible artists everywhere you look. And for me, kind of one of my favourite things about Doodle Chat is like all these different people. There's people that come for colouring books. There's people that come that have never drawn before, never made any art like since they were little kids, and now they're in their 60s. There's a bunch of professional artists that come down and skill share and stuff. But like, I definitely find that like it's never visual influence, but kind of there's words that seep in. There's maybe processes. There's maybe ideas and conversation that like feed into my studio practice. And like in my studio, it's solitary. I've got headphones on. I generally like have some horrible electronic drone or something to block out the world so that I can just focus on what I'm doing. But yeah, like biggest influence definitely comes from, like you're saying, like the people around you, kind of the conversations that you're having, like little snippets and little words. Yes, sometimes looking at the news, which is always a terrible idea, but like it triggers some anger and rage, and like that anger becomes a slow process of painting, and the painting becomes a thing that I talk to people in the community group about. The community group becomes a thing that feeds back into it and kind of brings the bright colours, the pinks and the purples and the hope and the joy. Yeah, from there, I think. And can I ask a question to these two? So like recently I've been making some of like, I think for me, like my most politically outspoken artwork. Now, like I'm 45 and I'm still often afraid of voicing my own like political opinions. Like it comes from things that happened in the past and stuff I don't need to go into now. But like you both seem very like strong in where you are. Like how does that come about?
Are you reading my question?
Ah shit. Like yeah.
I don't know, really. Yeah, becoming strong in where you are. I think it's just kind of believing that everyone's kind at their root, like, and everyone, you know, when I'm about to perform and go on stage, I can get a bit nervous, and then I think no one's here to have a bad time. You know, no one's actually here to have a bad time, so you've just got to facilitate them having a good time, and be kind back, and that kind of gets rid of some of the fear. And I think on what you were saying about being inspired by the people that are around you, the random people that show up to your events, is like, I kind of think everyone has like a magic little secret in them, and I genuinely think this. And just a little bit of time, like you can be talking to someone like just a complete randomer at one of these art things, and then you'll like chat to them for a bit, and you're like, "Fucking hell, like you did that," or like that's so cool, like yeah. And you just got to give them a little bit of time, and that's really nice that you create that space, because time is the most important thing that you can give to someone, and yeah, that's really lovely. And yeah, I just think if you just give someone a little time, you never know what they're going to come up with. Like I did a comedy improv course at Hart in Headingley, and it was so funny to watch like all these people show up that you might just pass on the street, like some random middle-aged man that's like wearing a suit. Then you go to a comedy improv course and like that guy's going crazy. And I feel like everyone has that little like magic inside them, but just like being able to create a space where people can do that is really cool. And just trusting that everyone is also there to have a good time. I think, yeah.
I think on that, like, I definitely find the people that come and make art in the workshops, like, they make my work look so normal. And, you know, 6-foot duck on fire with dog legs. And it just looks like an average, boring piece of art by, like, the randoms that come and make the weirdest stuff.
Sometimes skill is a bit restricting, isn't it? Like, being like, I'm not an amazing musician, but I can write a song because I'm like, oh, this will work. Like, throw these chords together. But, like, you probably, Oliver, would be like, they do not go together.
But part of that, it goes back to what you're saying, which is that, you know, like take, for example, one of my influences, Jimi Hendrix. He wasn't like a music theory guy, but eventually what works, you know what I mean? So sometimes, especially in things like songwriting, it's important to not put loads of barriers between you and whatever the art is. Because, okay, you can start denying yourself of something magical, as you were saying, by saying, if you were to be like, you know what, it doesn't quite work this way. Because, like, you might be taking away what might evolve into something magic. And it ties back as well to that because, as you say, I do believe as well that everybody has some sort of creative asset in their arsenal, whether they know it or not, whether they've had the chance to express it or not, it might not be a passion for them, you know, but I believe everybody has something creative to offer. And so as well, part of that in what Ed's question was as well, which is kind of like thinking about the honesty of trying to, you know, battling with how honest do you want to be in the art and how honest. And the thing is that I think every artist will battle with that. But at the same time, especially, you know, I haven't got a huge audience. So it's like, mate, if you can't be honest now, when are you going to be honest? Like, you may as well be honest now. And then the people who find that compelling in some way, or they agree, will be on for the ride, you know? Rather than, you know, you see it all time, you know, like, look at somebody like Morrissey, it's like, mate, I was with you. And then you started going off the deep end, mate, and so I'm not with you anymore. Or like, and I know this is a controversial one, but like, a lot of people, when they talk about guitar, they're like, oh, you must love Eric Clapton. And I'm like, nah, I loved Eric Clapton until I found out the things that he has said about people who look like me and people who are different to him. And so I'm like, listen, I can be honest about how I feel in my lyrics and how I conduct myself, because if not, people are probably going to find out one day anyway, you know, what somebody's really like. You know, if I reach a pinnacle of success, which I desire to attain, I'll probably be found out if I'm a faker. So I may as well just be real and transparent now. Absolutely. People who like it, people who don't like it, don't like it. And again, I don't say anything too crazy compared to what, you know, there's rappers who say a lot more wacky things than me. And a lot of, in my personal experience, finding like an audience, as I say, I've got a very modestly sized audience at the moment, but the things that resonate with people are not usually what you expect. So like Bonnie was saying, like when you songwrite, and you know, sometimes when you songwrite as a committee, you can run into this problem where someone's like, no, change that. But actually, some of the things which I might have excluded had I been subject to that kind of committee process of songwriting are the things which people resonated with the most. Or the things that might have, you know, say if I was with a major label and they were kind of policing the themes and things like that. Like sometimes I talk a lot about death, and so some of it, from the face of it, some people are like, that's a bit depressing, man. But actually, if you listen to it and you resonate with it, it's actually not from the perspective of, I'm going to make you depressed, obviously. It's actually a commentary on just how I feel. And so somebody might listen to that and say, you know what, I know exactly how this guy feels because I feel the same way. And had it been policed out of the music, it just would never have got to that person. So yeah, that's a couple of, 2 cents from me.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Ed. What an amazing question. I agree with all of you in each and every way in terms of just staying true to yourself, not really having to listen to every voice that's around you, and still doing what you feels right for you. And also being, like, to follow on from prior to that question about being inspired by surroundings, and what I heard most out of all of that was like the voices and action, as opposed to like a star in any kind of way. It's more to do with what a group of people or an individual is doing and what they're saying. That means more than anything else. And I hope you all can agree in that sense that, having, and I agree with you, Bonnie, in the sense of I am absolutely inspired by people. The whole reason why I started Sit With Tea was because there is so many incredible, insanely talented people that need light to be shone on. And I'm inspired by that. And I'd hope that I can build a community of people that can also be inspired by that. So thank you all. And also thank you all for being here. I felt really touched by all of what you just said. I've got a bit of goosebumps. It's making me feel a little bit like, wow. Thank you, honestly. Kind of moving on from that, talking about strength. Strength only comes with the good and the bad, right? Like we only build ourselves up to become the people we are today without dealing with hardships, without dealing with knockbacks. And you can speak as freely or as closely as you want to about this. But I am really interested to find out maybe like some of the harder parts of being in your respective fields and how it is to be an artist, really on your own, trying to figure out the world, and finding your place, or maybe not finding your place, but making space for yourself within the world. Whoever wants to go first,
you
please.
can go first.
Given the microphone. Yeah, I've got 3 jobs. I'm often in Trinity Shopping Centre at night time putting up signs that pays money. Need money to pay for things. I'm currently kind of running my first Arts Council project at the minute, which, like I say, is 4 years in the making. It's not super easy to exist and just make art, and even run the community groups and stuff like that. There's a whole amount of challenge that goes into that. We recently put Doodle Chat on hold at the end of February. So we just won Health and Wellbeing Project of the Year in November, which is amazing. Yeah, space to clap. I have a volunteering director here. But like what we were finding was, as a creative social group, facilitated generally by an artist in a community centre, like we were like picking up the pieces of kind of fraying and absent mental health services, stuff that kind of was no longer accessible, no longer available to people, and we were becoming almost like we were on the edge of crisis intervention. You know, as I'm an artist, like I have some experience in adult social care and SEND education and my own mental health experience, but I didn't have training to like work with people, you know, experiencing addiction or in recovery, or, you know, the people that I know were making attempts on their lives. Like Doodle Chat saved 3 lives last year, which is amazing. But we shouldn't have been in that position. Like that shouldn't have been the place that somebody that was on that precipice was coming to. There should be services there. And like just keeping that going in terms of all the work that goes into finding the funding, the days and days of unpaid work that is writing a funding application, that is evidencing that creativity is good for your well-being, which has been evidenced so many times. Over 3,000 journals have been written to say creativity is good for well-being. There's articles in the news, there's books written about it. But as a freelance artist who is facilitating a creative well-being community group, you still have to evidence that. Like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to get the training to do that. I don't know how to turn an improvement in well-being into a graph that a funder can look at and go, good job. Like, I don't see the point. Like, like there's so much that goes into it. Like, just being able to eat is hard. So yeah, like 3 jobs, amazing supporters, people that help all the time, other amazing people in the room as well that also come and support me and listen, which is amazing. But yeah, like, it's really important to find friends, build networks. So I'm now part of like Assembly House Artist Studios, 80 artists in there. And it's like a really supportive community space. People talk to each other. Like if I need anything, I can WhatsApp 80 people immediately and just say, you know, has anyone got a spare stapler? Or can somebody talk about this really in-depth thing about, I don't know, whatever it is, mental health in the community or something? And someone responds immediately. Someone's there. Yeah, volunteers like Joe, Noah, my director, that, yeah, just tells it as it is, which is excellent.
We need people like,
but like, yeah, like it's the studio is my space for me, but it's constantly informed by everyone and everything that's around me. And like surviving as a creative, it's like it's not a lone pursuit. Make friends.
absolutely.
Do you want to be friends?
I'll be your friend. We'll all be your friend.
Yeah, for me, I mean, as Ed says, like as an artist, you know, everything that you do is kind of informed by some sort of pain, or you know, you're kind of always using it, you know, to help yourself figure things out in your life. And like I say, it's always, you know, there's always going to be a financial aspect to like, oh mate, do I even have time to be doing this? I need to, like you say, you need to feed yourself. Yeah. And so it's like you're finding time. And so for me, one of the things which I'm always kind of dealing with is like, okay, is X amount of money that I need to, you know, you need to spend money to release music these days and promote music. Okay, where am I going to get that money from? Okay, we'll work. So then, okay, and then so it starts to, you know, become, you know, you start to put pressure on yourself to be like, well, this has to be really good because I've put loads of money into this. I'm like, people really need to like this. But then you can fall into the trap of trying to then sort of pander a little bit and like be like, well, let's try and make this, let's give this some sort of flavour or that is more commercially accessible and more, you know, viable, you know, in a way that is going to translate to a wider audience and stuff. And realistically, at the end of the day, it just starts chipping away at the quality of stuff. And so, but you're having to battle with it. It's like a carrot chase. You think, okay, I've worked so hard on this release, so I feel I really should just put a lot of money into promoting it. When at the end of the day, it's like, mate, just put it out. Yeah, no, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm not, if you didn't notice, I'm not Dua Lipa. Like, just put it out, mate. And so, yeah. So for me, like, one of the difficult things is like having to come to terms with the fact that, yes, I spend loads of time, like huge percentages of my life, making things which, frankly, a lot of the time, who knows if anybody's going to really care about them or listen to them. But just having to come to terms with the fact that that's just art. You know, some people make great art and nobody ever sees it or hears it, and that's fine. Yeah. Because sometimes that's just what it needs to be. Again, it's a juggling act because you can start to lose steam, you can start to get burnout. You can start to be like, you know what, I'm just throwing things at a brick wall here. But what helps me is A, like you say, starting to try and build a bit of a community around what you're doing, find like-minded people who are also in the same position and also throw money into the pit of trying to become a musician and like knowing that in some way the effect that you can have on each other and the contributions you can make to each other's art will raise the quality of the art, you know, and raise the quality of your output and raise the consistency of your output to a level where it starts to become more worth it in a traditional sense, you know, and like trying to find the rewards outside of, you know, growing a huge audience and getting loads of money from it. What are the rewarding things about doing this creative thing which don't need to be measured by the metrics that somebody else who's got nothing to do with me has designed and is making a lot more money than any musician. Of like, I'm not going to sit here stressing about how many people listen to it on Spotify. If I feel, you know, that I've done my best and I've done a good job. So, you know, it's always nice. And like I say, like Ed says, it's like when you build that community, you kind of get some of that affirmment, that sort of confirmation of like, you know, well, we're doing something here. Yeah. Okay, not everybody knows about it, but we're actually doing something here. And that's always just good. That's a relief from all the sort of the pain behind the art and the kind of the struggle and the day-to-day of it. It's kind of like, okay, you affect a couple of people, maybe that grows, maybe that doesn't. And maybe it's like concentric circles. If I can affect the people around me and we can help each other, then maybe we can help more people, and so on and so forth.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I feel you there on so many levels with making music and it just being like a pit that you're just throwing money into because you care about it, don't you? You know, and I think if you have, like, music to me is that thing that's like really special. I really care about it. And I write, you know, hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of songs, no lie, and I've written them my whole life, and I've released like 10 because I'm just so particular about them, but I'm really like I've just started to make money through being creative in other ways, and I think you have to have some things that you really, really care about, that this is like, this is my thing, and then some stuff that you just like, it's a collaboration thing. And going freelance, do we have any like freelance people in here today, this evening? Yeah. Because I've like just started that journey this year, and you kind of feel like you have to take every single piece of work that comes your way, and just in case you don't get it next month. And I'm still like learning to try and manage that a little bit, and it can be really overwhelming trying, because it's scripts as well, so I'm like learning lines all the time and I just have like loads of scripts going on in my head. But I used to be a carer for like 10 years. I worked in the care industry. My brother was a carer. My dad's a psychiatrist. Like my sister's disabled. My whole family's like care related people. And I was like managing a care team, and I really enjoyed it. And I was making like decent money, like managing this team of carers, but there was no creativity in my role at all. And it's so good for your mental health. I actually felt like I was just going mad, just seeing the same people every single day. And then being part of this film set 5 years ago when they were just casting for Yorkshire people to be in this series, I was like, bloody hell, the world is massive. There's so many cool people out here, and I only knew like 15 of them. So I moved to Leeds, which honestly changed my world. I love Leeds so much. Leeds is a great city for creativity, great city for art. There's so many people that I work with that want to do projects with me for free, like me working for them for free and the same in return. And you never know where that's going to take you. You know, helping someone out with something often leads to great things. And what you said about being inspired by the people that are working with you, like we must be doing something here. Like even if no one sees it, it's a compliment when someone wants to work with you on something. I kind of forgot the first question, but there you go. Thank you.
Just to add one more thing as well, because I was just thinking as well just now about something that Ed said, which is that, you know, we're always, you know, at the minute we're dealing with things like the cost of living and stuff, and people are undervaluing the arts, right? But you look at something like, you know, Ed's situation where, okay, let's say you're running a group or something and, you know, you're encountering people who are basically, they've been let down by, you know, they've been let down by the people who are telling us that the arts are rubbish, you know. And they've been let down, and what, you know, Ed at that point is effectively, the work that he's doing is kind of shining a light on something which should have been picked up, you know, it should have been in some way dealt with better by people who feel like they're a lot more important than art and the work that artists do. And so that's, again, like it goes back to what I was saying about trying to find the rewards in it, but it's also just like being real, which is that art is important to humans, you know, it's important to humans, and it can help humans. And the same way as, you know, Ed was talking about being influenced by the passing of his brother, it's him now encountering the sort of other side of that and seeing people who are, you know, it's an opportunity to help them. It's an opportunity to give them something to look at and say, actually, I can do something. You know, I'm worth something. And so, yeah, it does really, and I know it's just kind of cliche saying, it's like obvious, but it's like, it's annoying when people kind of class arts as like some kind of, you know, it's just, oh, get a proper job. Like, and it's like, mate, A, I've got a proper job, but B, it's like, this is important, not only to me, but everybody has some connection to art, and it can save lives, you know?
Absolutely, thank you for adding that. I absolutely.
No, it's good.
Do you want to say it?
No.
You sure?
Well, I'm just going to add on to what Oliver was saying because I absolutely agree. Respectively, you're all incredible people and so inspiring. But a conversation that came to mind, just as you mentioned, that was, Ed, when I met you the other week. And you mentioned about kind of like stopping Doodle Chat off the back of, you know, this amazing award, which is insane. But actually stopping Doodle Chat created a bigger conversation of why was that stopped? What's going wrong here? And how can we actually facilitate this with it not all lying on one person or a group of people's shoulders that are not given the right means or facilities or support to actually allow what Doodle Chat or other spaces can be used for. And I know you mentioned that like GPs were referring people to Doodle Chat as opposed to like an actual mental health service that can support them with their needs, but also at the same time you can allow you to do what you need to do, which is supporting people in a creative way. And I absolutely agree. I think that is I think that speaks volumes when someone can win an award for, or an organisation can win an award for the amazing work they do, but then has to stop, and that brings out a bigger conversation. And I actually think you stopping that, or as a community and organisation stopping that, is a really proud thing and a thing to be proud of, because it's raising now voices of, oh, something needs to be done here, and there obviously needs to be funding here, and why are we expecting people to do hours and hours of work for less than minimum wage when it's actually benefiting an entire community of people? Like, that is something to be proud of. It really is.
I'll add a little to that. So kind of off the back of that, I have been in quite a few rooms recently talking to people who can potentially influence policy, people who can commission things, people who can properly support grassroots community groups, because that's essentially what it is. Like, the grassroots are the people that are there living in that community, kind of part of that community, and they're the ones that are kind of taking the burden of, like, GPs sending people that had phoned up and asked for mental health support to a group where I provide colouring books and, collage materials and stuff. Like, but the conversation is happening. Other grassroots organisations are talking about it, talking about burnout. And kind of through Apocalypse Remix, I've built into that a doodle chat model that is funded, supported by other support workers. I have my own therapy and supervision built into the bid, and it's a kind of short-term session that is about, rather than just going on for 3 years non-stop, it's 3 months, and everyone takes home a little doodle pack with them, which is essentially, here is your tool for your own creative well-being. Like, do not rely on me. I can't do that forever. So go off and, like, explore it yourself. And another thing that happened is, like, some of the core members that were coming every week to Left Bank just continued going. And, like, that community is just continuing on its own. Don't need facilitation. It's totally fine. And, like, I can see what it should look like now. And I am getting to enter spaces where I can tell people who can influence that. So there might be some news soon.
I hope so, yeah, absolutely. Massive round of applause. I want to speak a little bit about pride. And as someone, and I'm sure you can all agree, I know you mentioned it a little bit, about staying true to yourself, but also striving for more, but wanting to do well. And, like, we all want to do well in a sense, whether that's personal accomplishments or public accomplishments. It's something that we all strive for. But I am really interested about what you think about what pride means to you, and if there's anything that you are proud of that you would like to share, to follow on from that.
I promise I'm not saying anything, but I'm just
Yeah, no, that is fine. Go. I'm not going to say much. What am I proud of? I'm very proud of my band. I love those girls to bits, and I'm very proud to be. I have to be honest. I have never made any money making music. I've done it my whole life, and I've probably spent more than I have made. But I'm proud of all of the things that I've done to do with music, and it's opened up so many friendships in my life. Like, I haven't made any money, but I have made pretty much everybody that I know is somehow related to music, and I've had a great time doing it. And I'm proud that I only do creative things for a job now. That's like a pretty big reach. I don't know how long it's going to go on for, but for now, I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah, I think you shouldn't be too particular about your work, but sometimes you do have to say, like, I'm not proud of that, and I don't want that going anywhere. I had a conversation last night because I make videos now. Like, that's what, like, social media, I know it's terrible, but it's a whole industry, and a lot of people don't know how to do it. So if you do know how to do it, that's a good way of making some money. And sometimes in that case, I'm like, nah, I can't have that. Like, that's. But you have to you can't do that for everything. You have to kind of pick your battles, and not be too proud, but a little bit.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, the way I see it is like, you can't go out in the street and start shouting, and then people give you a funny look, and you're like, ooh, and start being shy. If you put yourself out there, in a way, you have to stand. You have to stand behind it. And so, like Bonnie says, in maturing as an artist, part of it is like knowing when to say, nah, we can't pull that, or like pull the plug on certain things which aren't working. As far as myself, like, being proud of things, I mean, I'd probably like to use a different word. Like, I am I like using the word satisfaction. So I am satisfied, with the fact that over the past year or so, I've been able to work with such a great range of artists from different genres, and that they've trusted me, and the people who work with them have trusted me to kind of deliver something good. And yeah, they've kind of believed me, and known that I would help them and sort of progress whatever they're doing. And yeah, I'm satisfied that people can recognize that about what I'm doing, and that's great.
Yeah, I think like you both have touched on the point of like we get to do the creative thing. Like we're in a position that we've like worked really hard to be in, which is getting to do a thing that like we love and we feel passionate about, and like affects so much around us. And I love that you were saying about like sometimes you both said it, you just got to put it out as well. Like the honesty in kind of the things you're producing without being like super precious about it, about being like so worried about like financial gain and things like that. Like I remember trying to make a piece of artwork that I thought would sell, and it was like the worst thing I've ever done. And like being able to separate, like I think one thing that I'm really proud of is that like all of my art that I make is completely separate to the idea of money. And like I can just make it. Like there's days sometimes when like I'm just drawing a pigeon and laughing because like it's the most ridiculous job that anyone's ever had. Like it's really silly, but like being able to be a grown up and do something that's silly and tell other people to like do that and be silly, like that I'm really proud of. There's one guy that has been coming to the Doodle Chat since day one. Like he's in his 60s, he hadn't done art, and then we did a workshop together and he started coming to Doodle Chat. And now he draws every single day, amazing automatic drawings. And like a few months ago, like he walked into Leeds Gallery with all his drawings and asked for an exhibition. Like that. Proud of that.
Absolutely.
You're still waiting to hear back, actually.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you for your insight this evening, for your beautiful analogies and experience. I hope you can all take something away from what we've discussed this evening. Before we go on to the final little bit, I just wanted to kind of like pass it over to the audience. If any of the audience had any questions they would like to ask any of our panelists this evening. Yeah.
I've got like 1,000,001 questions for you, but it's and I'm just saying, brilliant. All of you really articulate. It's fantastic. It's like, yeah, and it is amazing. Now I've completely and utterly forgotten my question.
We'll just take the compliment.
Yeah. It's and I suppose part of it is. I mean, part of it was actually it's fantastic because I haven't had to listen to any art wank, and it's just been you guys talking straight, and that's brilliant. But one thing, and I suppose it's a bit of self-reflection for me, is like I was diagnosed ADHD 4 years ago at 55, and after that went through a lot of stuff. It was like, well, how do I recontextualize my life and now go back and tell myself a lot of stuff? And I'm kind of interested what you would go back and tell your younger selves now about where you are now or in the future, what you would tell yourselves now, or just reassure yourselves that was okay.
Beautiful question, John. Is there anyone that would like to answer? Yeah, Bonnie, please.
Yeah, that is a really beautiful question. There was a good few years when I was back in York and working and stuff where I was like in a very dark space, and through that period I think that I just wasted those years, and that's what I feel sad about, is that I just wasted that time. But now I think that I'm like really happy to say that the things that I was doing when I was like 15, 16 are the exact same things that I'm doing now. It's like making stupid videos, making songs with my friends, and that's like, yeah, a really nice feeling. And I don't have like, you know, a lot of things that people would have now, like a family and like a really like stable career ladder, like at all. But I think that I have, yeah, I'm doing the exact same things that I was doing when I was like 12, 15. There was a few like dark years in the middle, but like skipping those out. That's nice to have. Like, it's really nice to do the things that made you happy as a kid. I think I have joy, yeah, which is the best thing. Yeah, you can't buy joy, no.
Yeah, I mean, for what I would tell myself if I could go back, I mean, part of it is like similar to what Bonnie says, which is that you know, lean more on what you want to do rather than what you think should be done. Because at the end of the day, you're going to end up wanting to do what you want to do. So you may as well just start doing it, you know? Because it's one thing I always think about artists, and it's similar like what we were talking about before. Like, yeah, it's sometimes I think to myself, oh, maybe I should just write pop songs for Katy Perry, you know? And I'll just be rich. And then I'm like, yeah, but when I make all that money, I'm going to be then wanting to make all sorts of cool music that I already want to make. So it's like, it doesn't really solve many of my problems, you know? It's not real. It's not a real aspiration. So just go, I would probably just tell myself, just go with what you want to do. The art that you want to make is the art that you want to make. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. Nobody's watching anyway. So just do it and then see how it goes.
Yeah. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I think like super important. Just make it. I think like one little thing that I'd add in, maybe talking to myself, which might like ruin all of my art if I went back and did this, would be like, don't be afraid to feel what you're feeling, and like talk about it. But then I probably wouldn't make paintings. So I don't know.
Thank you. I think we had another question just at the back. There you go, my lovely. Thank you.
I was going to ask, if you look back at your life, is there any setbacks that any of you had, and what was it that pushed you through?
Great question. Thank you, Danielle. Does anyone want to talk about setbacks? Feel free.
No, I think like oddly, like I had jobs. I was working, like I say, loads of, adult social care, send education, stuff like that, and got injured, and then like from then have been in constant pain, and like there are days like this is a good day, it hurts, but it's all right. There's days that I can't stand up, I can't walk, you know, I get dressed, curled up in a ball on the floor. People don't see me on those days because I can't go anywhere. But like stuff like, I don't know, like that was essentially like a life-changing experience, but it also meant that like I was still a lot and then drew more. And I don't know, like I wouldn't recommend it as a pathway into like community art, but yeah, but it kind of helped. I don't know. Yeah. I think like the major setback that we've all talked about is money. Like, that. So doing stuff without it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Ed said, it's like, you know, when you're starting to try and monetize your art, it's like it is just one big setback. You know what I mean? Like, it's one big setback because you're just kind of fighting this trying to break even on things which you know that, you know, if you just go and do a day's work, you earn more than like however many thousands of Spotify streams. It's just like, that's the main, like I said, it's kind of the recurring one, which is like, okay, you look at the month and you think, okay, I did a gig there, got a couple of royalties here, or this, that, the other. But then it's like, mate, you look at what's going out, you know, just for your rent and your bills and everything, and you're just like, again, it kind of goes back to like being an artist. Like 90% of it is just cracking on with it and just doing it, regardless of what it's, you know, regardless of the negative impacts, you know. And that's kind of like, as I said, it's sometimes early on can feel like a one long setback because you're just kind of trudging on. And, you know, it's like when things were happening with COVID and, you know, you feel like, are they even going to let me gig again? And it's like, there's a bigger the bigger picture is, mate, just get on with it. You know what I mean? Get on with it. And actually that was a good opportunity to reach more people online because more people were online. There was more opportunity for unique styles of content. And yeah, so it's like you're trying to find silver linings. It's difficult to find silver linings, you know, when you end up flat broke because you've tried, you know, to make a project work and it's just kind of like been a bit of a dud. But again, you just keep pressing on and then, you know, perseverance is the name of the game, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and those really beautiful moments where you do have a successful like gig or whatever it is or film, like are only so sweet because you had so many that were bad. And yeah, my setback was probably I like quite bad mental health for probably about 10 years. Oh no, 5 years. And during that time, I didn't make any music. I made one song and it was shit. And I think like coming out of that and like going back to being myself, I can only really truly appreciate how like amazing it is to feel like myself again because I went through that. So yeah, setbacks I think just like improve the feeling when it does work out, I would say. Yeah.
I agree.
It's like, is the creativity something that I like this? Thanks. Yeah, it's like, do you find that the creativity is something that kind of really supports your mental health and your mental health journey?
Yeah. Yeah. If my mental health's bad, I can't write music. Like it's I can only write it when I'm like in a good place. I don't know if it supports it, but it keeps it good. Yeah.
Maintenance.
Yeah, maintenance.
Yeah, that's one of the things as well is like I resonate with what Bonnie said about, you know, the setbacks, they carve out the feeling that you get from anything that's even slightly successful because it's always going to be a bit of an elastic game where there's ups and downs. But, you know, one little, you know, extra press on air you might get a nice, but you just feel so much more grateful and it just translates to the rest of your life as well. Like, I'm sure Ed can attest, like, you know, after years of this, like, you know, you get that award and you think, you know what, I'm pretty good at this. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know what I mean? It's you know, there's times where you think, oh, you know what I mean? I don't care. I'm sure you went through this experience like, who cares about awards? But now you're like, you know what? Actually, it means something, and it is something to be proud of. And all those times dealing with all the rubbish and all the nonsense, and maybe people not believing you, or that first session where hardly anybody comes. It's like it's all worth it in the end, really, because as you said, you now get the opportunity to say, I'm an award winner, mate. You better give me some money. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You can rock up to the Arts Council now and say, listen, either take it or leave it, mate. I'm here. You know what I mean? You can, but you can now. You know what I mean? So now you can say, look, let's just forget about all the projects I've done, which maybe, you know what I mean? Anything you do in life which wasn't success, it's like, it's kind of like a magic eraser because okay, you get a little bit of a positive thing happening, you're like, listen, let's just focus on that, you know?
Yeah.
Don't
But
worry
yeah.
about everything
Yeah.
before that.
Celebrate the tiny joys. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you all. I don't know why I'm feeling so emotional right now, but I feel like really emotional after hearing them responses because I can really not only agree, but I've felt that like pushing through times of real hardship to, I mean, not that I'm anywhere near where, you know, I don't know what that is, but I don't know what that is, but it feels like, you know, you're still grinding and them little wins really are a magic eraser. And I don't think about, you know, that film that didn't do well or whatever it might be. And putting on events like this tonight is exactly the reason. Everything you've said tonight is the exact reason why I knew this needed to happen. It was something that I felt that was a gap and people need to hear this. People really need to hear this. because it's not just all the shiny rainbows and Instagram posts and all of that. There's so much going on behind the scenes that makes each and every one of us the people we are today, and that needs to be celebrated as much as the likes on an Instagram screen. So can we have a massive round of applause for all of these people? Oh, bless you. Not only a massive thank you to these tonight, you may have noticed wonderful people at the back. We have Jules, who's been sketching the entire night tonight. We've had Atticus, who's been doing all of the videography. We've had Amy, who's been my right-hand woman, social media girl, everything in between. Can we have a massive round of applause for Amy? Woo! And also to Pearls in Paris, who are sat over there, who've been welcoming all you into the event this evening. Before we wrap up tonight... Yeah, and Nisa. Love you, Nisa. I'm sorry. Before we wrap up the event tonight, as a big thank you to all of you for being here, we do a raffle. Amy, are you... she's already on it. What a queen. Could I have the raffle cup, please? Thank you, Jess. Wonderful. Hold your horses. So I'm just going to go through what the prizes are this evening. So, of course, and I will also mention, so this is the last event that will be sponsored by Yorkshire Tea. We're going into the warmer months. I have some really exciting news coming through very, very soon. So please keep an eye on the social media for Sit With Tea, as we do have some really exciting sponsors coming up, including our next event. But this is, so these are some of the prizes up for grabs tonight. So we have Yorkshire Tea. We have a book and print by the one and only Ed Thompson himself. We have a photography book from Nicholas Sinclair, who is an incredible photographer. We have one of my photography prints framed. And they are our prizes for tonight. So, Ed, do you want to grab the first? And now, please, all rumble. What's the number, Ed?
Don't know. No, that's an email. Number 2.
Yes. Come and claim your prize.
Wait, do I get to choose?
You can choose, babe. What do you want?
Oh, there we go.
This is Ed.
Bunch.
Wait, I am quite intrigued by him.
Do you want exotic party slugs of England? This is Ed's book, The Exotic Party Slugs of England.
It's like the number 1 documentary on fictional slugs.
Boom. Is that what you're going for?
Featuring the Northern
Gorgeous. So you get that and the print as well, babe.
Oh, stunning.
Ace.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, card. Oliver, do you want to grab the next number?
Number 8.
Number 8.
Oh, it's
Maz!
Yay.
Please feel free to choose away. These are to give out at the end. Oh, my goodness. That's, I don't, yeah.
You're just throwing that one away. No one's allowed.
No. That, yeah, we'll get into that in a second. So you've got Yorkshire Tea photography book on my book.
Your print, of course.
Oh, bless you. Well,
Thank you
congratulations.
very much.
There you go. Thank you. And thanks to Maz, because Maz actually put me and Ed in touch, and absolutely the reason why he's on the panel tonight. So thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Bonnie!
Drum roll, please.
It's 10. Hey! Congratulations! You can choose between a box of Yorkshire Tea or a photography book.
should probably take the tea, you know.
You take the tea, my friend.
I am in Yorkshire. I would like the photography, but this feels right.
Are you sure? Okay. I love it. I love it. Well, congrats. Okay, it's the final book. It's the final one.
Isn't that the last ever box of Yorkshire tea as well?
Ever.
Ever. It's no more. Go on, Oliver. What's the last number?
5.
Number 5. Woo! Oh, well, congratulations! There you go, Noah. Oh, amazing. Well, I just want to say thank you all for being here this evening. I really do appreciate it. You're all amazing. And I'm very grateful to be surrounded by such wonderful people. And I hope you do walk away from this discussion inspired and feeling passionate about your respective fields. Or, you know, if you just want to get in touch with us to know more, please feel free to have a chat with us afterwards. The bar is open in the refectory space, the space that you came through, and all of the profits from the bar goes directly to MAP Charity, who I'm like one of my favourite charities and organisations. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for them. I went to school there about 13 years ago now. I've, you know, done what I can since leaving there, and they've always been such a massive supporter of them, so I'd appreciate if you were all massive supporters of them too. Thank you so much. Can I just finally get like all of your like Instagram handles or the best way to find you, just so everyone is 100% aware of that for me?
Yeah, on Instagram it's Edek Thompson and Edek's Doodle Chat. We could write them down somewhere potentially.
Yeah, Instagram for me is at Oliver Pedro Rees, Rees. And then Spotify, just Oliver Rees, all the like streaming platforms for my music and stuff. Or if you're old school, or you maybe you're of the boomer persuasion, Facebook, Oliver Rees Music.
Thank you. Yeah, for any of your bingo needs, you can find me at Miss Yorkshire Gold on Instagram. That's where to find me.
Amazing, thank you so much. Yeah, we'll be all around to have a chat afterwards if any of you want to ask any questions. But again, thank you so much. And you've probably all got empty glasses now, but cheers to you all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Amazing.
Yes. Well done. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, same. It's like it's really comforting to know that like across all the creative industries, it's a terrible struggle. Yeah. We're all in the same boat. No, it's like so good just hearing just fucking do it. Like put it out there. Don't be so passionate about it. Like, yeah, it's taken years to come to that point in art where I'm just like,